Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics as Non-Classic. This is episode number 1076, number 970. I got one Marvel trade, one DC trade. First up it is The Mighty Thor, Volume 4, The War Thor. This collects issues Mighty Thor, Volume 2, issues 20 to 23, though you can kind of consider this to be the 6th volume of Thor. Yep, along with Generations, the Unworthy Thor, and the Mighty Thor. Yep, I'm glad the fact they're doing that one shot in here because that's really good the fact they did that. The War Thor story is to put this. Basically, you have Volstagg, Ross Solomon, and I'm trying to think who else was it. It was one other person with them. I think it was a woman with them. Basically, went to some refugee. It was I think it was like the King of the Dark. I think it was a light elf. I think it was. Visit the refugees from the light elf world, basically because they all had to evacuate because of Malekith's invasion. And eventually, a lot of people are killed, and Volstagg takes care of some kids, and so they are killed by this strange flame creature, which basically they fight pretty much in the storyline. And then, of course, Volstagg comes across, of all things, the Ultimate Thor's hammer. I'm like, okay, how the heck did this thing even get here? I have no idea. And he picks up, becomes the War Thor. Yep. Now, the readers already know he's the War Thor. In the case of Jane, she does not know it at all. Now, basically, we pick up with Jane, like, where she's on the moon, talking to Thor, where she reveals, like, that she is Thor, and she regrets keeping it from him. Though here's kind of the thing. There's only two people prior to him finding out that Jane Foster is Thor, and that's Sam Wilson and Rod Solomon. The only two people who actually do know that Jane Foster is the female Thor. Well, in the case of Sam Wilson, it's because, well, he also made out with her when she was in her Thor form. Yep. And because I think they're good friends, they decided he'd keep it secret anyways. And of course, I take on the War Thor. Of course, also this queen of the Muspelheim. These fiery creatures. Yeah, they only appear for this story. I've never seen these creatures before. They're probably one of the other worlds, one of the other 10 realms. Yep. And they take him on. Of course, Volstagg gives up the War Thor hammer and becomes basically himself. Though he does become the War Thor again in the very next storyline. But not much else in this particular storyline, but it's great to see basically the Unworthy Thor team up with the Mighty Thor and, well, work along with Volstagg. Now, I loved the first cover appearance basically they do for him. Well, look at this. Basically, the 20th issue of this volume. This cover right here, this is a homage to, I kid you not, Thor number 338, which is the debut of Beta Ray Bill. That's what this cover is a homage to. The cover here on the cover, I think that's issue 22 or 23. I don't know which one it was. Yeah, it's something to the fact they actually do that for Thor. We have an issue, just a homage. Now, the back cover is 22. That's simply what it is. 22, just simply put the back cover. What about 21? Also, they have the Enchantress open here, which she doesn't do very much. Yeah, 21 is the cover for the trade. And what about 23? 23 is, let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, 23 is also the last issue of this volume before it gets relaunched, like gets restored to its triple digit numbering. Yeah, just basically on the cover, it just basically two Thors fighting each other with their hammers. The story itself is pretty good, though it's basically just set up for the next arc, the death of the Mighty Thor. Now, what about the one shot? The Unworthy Thor and the Mighty Thor. This particular one-shot is simply put this. We have the Jane Foster Thor going back in time to the time of Vikings to team up with the original Thor before he got his hammer. And the story starts off with the original Thor trying to pick up the hammer he's known for using. And apparently Odin does not want him to do it, despite Becky later does anyways. Yeah, makes a move, but yeah, and they also... And I'm thinking, okay, now in the course of this story, in the course of this one shot, we have the original Thor take on Apocalypse, which is simply put, sort of taking place during that particular issue of Uncanny Avengers, I think it was issue 6. Yeah, as for some reason, I think Jane Foster apparently has never heard Apocalypse at all. Now, this is by far Apocalypse's first time he's ever appeared in an issue of Thor. Yeah, because the thing is, Apocalypse, he's generally appeared in X books. He very rarely appears outside of them. Yeah, and this is one of his 2 appearances he made outside of an X-Men comic. Of course, his only appearance he made outside of an X-Men comic, off the top of my head, was that one issue of Uncanny Avengers. Aside from that, that was pretty much it for him. This is by far his first appearance outside of the X comics since Uncanny Avengers number 6, which came out in 2013. These issues came out I think it was just last year. I think it was last year. It was, yeah, it was just last year. So last year was the first time in 5 years he's actually appeared outside of an X comic. Yep. And now I would think Jane Foster would basically do a little research, because I'm sure the Avengers have probably got some info on the Apocalypse, thanks of course their let's just say their friendly relationship with the X-Men. But apparently she did not know who the heck he is. She doesn't say in the comics who are you? Or in the case of asking Thor, who's him? Who's this guy? Yeah, I'm okay. Now, as a reader, I know who Apocalypse is. And apparently, Jason Aaron wrote it where apparently neither the Jane Foster Thor nor Jane Foster doesn't ask the original Thor, basically, the name of Apocalypse's name, or Apocalypse himself. She doesn't do that. That's the only thing I think is kind of minor problem I have with the damn thing. But otherwise, though, it's a really good one-shot. As for the issues overall, really good. Give this book a 9.5 out of 10. It's a really good set of issues. Mostly, this whole storyline with the War Thor is just set up for the following story arc, which basically starts with issue 700, which I'm hoping to get that trade in really soon. Now, this next trade, this one here, the Thor trade, this one I got from the library. This one I purchased. This is The Flash Rebirth. This collects the entire 6-issue limited series. Oh, I forgot to mention this. The people who did the artwork. Now, Jason Aaron does the writing here, obviously. He writes pretty much everything in here, including the Unworthy Thor one-shot, including the Generation one-shot. The main issues themselves. 2022, the artwork is done by Russell Dunnerman and Verito Sakachi, who takes over for pretty much the rest of it. And the artwork for the Generations one-shot is done by Muhammad Astar. Now, as for the Flash trade, this pretty much takes place right after Barry's return in Final Crisis. Yeah, the whole point of this miniseries is to set up Jeff Johns' new run for Flash, which is 12 issues. That was the whole point of this miniseries. But the story of this miniseries is Barry's come back after the events of Final Crisis. This is basically everybody just celebrating the fact he's back. And, well, him being back, of course, they set up some stuff, which doesn't go very far, thanks, of course, to what happened 2 years after this, at least a year after this miniseries was concluded. Yeah. And we also see in the miniseries the return of the Reverse Flash for the first time since the 80s. He's had occasionally appeared since his death. Mostly put, a couple times he has shown up, was mostly just, a flashback or him appearing via time travel when he was being chased by the Barry Allen Flash. In the case of this, yeah, he's back. And we also see at the end of the miniseries the return of Hunter Zolomon in his last appearance before the relaunch. Well, his last appearance for, I think it was about 7 years. Yeah, he didn't return again until actually just recently. Now, Barry Allen also sees we also see the return of the Black Flash. Yeah, the Black Flash, which apparently was used last time taking out Darkseid, which, yeah, this means that, well, basically this whole miniseries is just following up with some loose threads from Final Crisis. That's simply what this miniseries is. And the miniseries is written by Jeff Johns, and the artwork is done by Ethan Van Sciver. Yes. The thing with Ethan Van Sciver is, whenever he works with Jeff Johns, usually it's a lot of sci-fi or sometimes Green Lantern books. That's simply what he does. This is one of the few rare occasions where he does a book for DC, and it's not a Green Lantern book. Nope, this is all Flash. Yep. Also, during the course of the miniseries, Baron gets a brand new costume replacing his original costume that he made his debut in back in the 50s. Yeah, he gets a new costume, which he has throughout the next volume of the series before the relaunch in 2011. I don't spoil too much about this miniseries. It's just that it's really, really good. And it's a great miniseries. And we also see a brief appearance by the Rogues because it's a Flash. Why not feature the Rogues? And we also see Jesse. We also see the second Liberty Bell become Jesse Quick again. Yeah, she apparently ditches her Liberty Bell costume and goes back being Jesse Quick, which is the first time since early 2000. She apparently had abandoned the role, taking a new role of Liberty Bell, basically take her mother's identity. Now she takes her father's identity because of, well, her father's death. Yeah, Johnny Quick dies in the miniseries. Along with Max Mercury, makes his return since the events of the end of the Impulse ongoing. And also some loose threads from the end of the previous Flash volume when it was ended after issue, I think it was like 200 and I think it was like 247, yeah, where you have Wally West and his wife Linda, along with their two kids. The daughter Jay, she becomes new Impulse toward the end of the miniseries. First, she wears her own costume, and then she gets basically Bart's costume when he was Impulse, which of course is really good. Yeah, if you look at this miniseries overall, it just set up for the next volume. That's most of what this is, and the only slight hindrance I think this miniseries does not accomplish is that, well, it sets something between Hunter's Element and the Reverse Flash, but it goes nowhere because Hunter's Element doesn't even appear in the next line for Flash. Because the next appearance after this is not until the Flash War storyline by Josh Williamson. That was his return to comic books, first time in 8 years since his last appearance. Yep, though he's back being a recurring villain in Flash, which of course is great. Now, I wasn't reading him when he was originally coming out. I did read it later. He's, of course, a fantastic villain. Though for some reason they have him wearing Barry's old 50s costume for some strange reason. I don't know why. And also, this is by far the first and only time we have it where the original Reverse Flash, we have Eobard Thawne meeting Hunter Zolman. The first and only interaction between these two, well, in present day, because the only appearance these two did make was during the events of the Rogue War storyline, which actually ended Jeff Johns' previous run in the book before Mark Waid took the book back over again a little bit later. There was another writer came right after him, and the book went hiatus for a year because, well, the book kind of ended. It was brought back by Mark Waid the following year after Bart Allen's death. Of course, he's back being Kid Flash because they mentioned it here because they came back because he was resurrected also in Final Crisis, though in the miniseries tie-in Legion of Three Worlds. Yeah, that's where he came back, along with Superboy. Yep. So before we read this miniseries, you gotta read 2 miniseries before we read this one. You gotta read Final Crisis and Final Crisis Legion of Three Worlds. That's all you gotta read. It's only prerequisites you gotta read. Though you probably will also have to read Crisis on Infinite Earths because that's when Barry died. Yep. But aside from that, really good miniseries. And I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Really good. Plus, I love the new outfit they actually give Barry in this storyline. We see brief appearance by the Justice League in here. Let's see. There's like a splash page in here of everybody getting brand spanking new costumes. Just take on Reverse Flash because I think it's Barry's new trick that he got. Where, exception of Jay Garrick, here it is right here. Yeah, you gotta love this two-page splash page where you have Jesse Quick on back here. Well, you have Jesse Chambers becoming Jesse Quick again. Kid Flash, Max Mercury come back to life. Yeah, though Johnny Quick is dead. And we have Wally's daughter becoming Impulse, and Jay Garrick in a slightly updated costume. And basically, Barry's like, looks like we got our second wind, and I like new suits. I'll have to teach you that trick. Yeah, apparently this is Wally's doing. Get everybody spiffy new costumes. Yep. This is really. I love this 2-page splash page by Ethan Van Sciver because I think he does pretty much all the artwork in here. Because I think he's listed as the only art. Yeah, he's listed as the only artist listed on here. Those colorists on here, but he's the only main artist in this book. Yep. I give this book 9.5 out of 10. Really, really good. Okay, so that's it for particular review. 2 more videos coming. Next, of course, is a movie review. Review Captain Marvel, which came out earlier this year. Yep. See you next video. Bye.